So Claire and I first met in ROTC. It was probably the first day of PT, honestly, on a Monday morning.
I was mechanical engineering at the time and just drowning in my own work, but there was this really intense professional cadet named Cadet Hoover who was a sophomore who kind of helped out some of the freshmen.
And one of the things I remember from her as a freshman is she liked to run. She liked to run fast, and she would always give max effort. And so she ended up running in the group of people that I would run in, and that was probably the first memory of it.
First impression was probably very, very dedicated person. He was one of the more engaged persons in ROTC at the time. Always squared away, always showed up on time, volunteered for a bunch of things. He reminded me a lot of me being involved in that, so.
When I first met her, it's that she was intense. That my first impression was that she would go out and give max effort at everything to get it done. And I really liked that about her.
Jordan asked me out first.
But I spent most of senior year saying I am gonna graduate single because I'm about to move, so I didn't want to start something senior year that I knew was gonna go long distance. And that lasted almost all year until about February, where I was sitting in a lecture about rocketry. It was given by an astronaut, and she was there too. She left to go to some class, I left to do whatever, and I was just sitting there thinking, I'm like, I need to ask her out, because if I don't do that now, here, it'll probably never happen, and I'll go the rest of my life wondering what would have happened.
I was sitting in a booth in La Fortune Student Center, but Jordan never studied in the Student Center. He would always go back to his room, turn on some music and focus, but he came over, sat down in the booth with me, started talking, and eventually he stopped, was like, Claire, can I ask you out on a real date? He asked that, and I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about this, but I said yes, because I was like, why would I say no?
Our first date was not awkward, but it was pretty typical of what we were experiencing in college. So she was in an engineering lab and working on this terrible aerodynamics project that I had done the year previous, so I understood her pain. So she texted me, hey, we're gonna be late.
It's supposed to be a 2-hour lab that turned into 4.5 hours, and no one could get the lab to work, and I was super frustrated, and I'm like, I've got my first date that I've had in a long time, and I can't go, and I'm like trying to speed this up, but I don't understand what's going on, so I can't like expertly help them to expedite the process, so.
We want to go to Rocco's Italian restaurant. It's closed on Monday, totally forgot that, so we looked that up, realized it's closed. It's, again, getting late.
But we ended up going to Olive Garden, because I love Italian food.
And then went to the Lego movie, which I thought was the perfect first date for engineers.
Yeah, and it's a really sweet night. When he first asked me out on a date, I kind of knew that this was something special, because I started thinking to myself, yeah, he is gonna leave soon. What would my life be without Jordan Hoover in it?
I know the first time I said I love you to her was over Thanksgiving.
I was saying goodbye to him out in the street, and yeah, we're hugging and like don't want to go because he has to go back to Texas and I have to go back to school, and neither one of us want to go. And he's just saying things kind of like, you're awesome, you're this, you're that, and kind of stepping around. And finally he's just like, you know what, Claire, I love you. And I was like, I love you too. I was waiting for you to say that.
So the proposal was my own design, of course, and I wanted to do something that would be memorable but uniquely us. I built a little microcontroller enabled device that had a GPS on it and would give a distance to a location.
I flew out to Texas one weekend, and it was right after I'd graduated my own training. There was one morning where he just gives me this box, and it's wrapped up in aeronautical charts or something, and I open it up, and there's this little circuit board, an Arduino circuit board, which clearly I knew he built himself, and had a little LCD screen, and I was like, okay, what's this? And you turn it on, and it has a bearing and range and distance to a specific point. So I had to pull out a map and figure out where that point was. So, okay, it's clearly not anywhere immediately near us, so we got in the car, started driving. Turns out we were headed towards the Wichita Mountains in Oklahoma. We get there, we get our hiking gear on, and we hike this trail. We get to the end of the trail, and mind you, it's like 95 degrees and 100% humidity. It's pretty hot out. Like, I like hiking, but it was pretty rough. we get to the end of this trail, and this thing still hasn't done it. We haven't gotten to the point we're trying to get to. So we're off-roading, we're going over these boulders and stuff like that.
We finally get there, the thing unlocks and tells her to turn around and face a direction, gives this fake loading screen, and I'm like, and she's like, well, it just still says loading. So I'm loading up a GoPro, throwing a GoPro up, getting the ring out, and finally like, no, yeah, hit the reset button on it. Hits reset, and it says, hey, turn around. And so then I asked her if she would marry me. While I was setting all this up, I was kind of giving a off-the-cuff speech as well, which probably wasn't super eloquent, but it got across everything that needed to be said, and especially when she turned around and saw me on a knee. That kind of says it all right there.
The great thing about it is it also counts down to the wedding, like how long we've been engaged, how long to the wedding. So it was really, really well done.
So we do have quirky things between us. I think everybody else can see and know about them. If an airplane goes by, we're both gonna go, oh, what's that? And identify it. Regardless of what's going on. You know, it could be the most romantic setting ever, and we're having this great conversation. It's happened. We've been sitting overlooking Notre Dame, having this conversation, and all of a sudden a plane goes over. We stop what we're doing, look up, and see what it is.
So since he's been in the military and since I've joined the military, my job is to actually control pilots, and it's kind of like a offensive coordinator for fighter pilots, if you will. So we both know how to speak that language. So we'll speak that language and be very succinct, and we'll talk in acronyms and all this sort of stuff, and nobody knows what's going on. Like, we'll be on Skype with my family, and we start talking to each other, and everyone's just like, huh? What? I don't know what's going on anymore. Okay. So, yeah, that would probably be our biggest quirk right now.
So the ways we're most alike is we both like to think through problems and analyze them. We're both aerospace engineers, and so everything becomes very organized. There's a checklist, there's a thought process. I'd say the other way is our Catholic faith. We're both deeply involved in the faith and really believe it with all our hearts, and that's really helped us to grow together as a couple and to just agree on a lot of things that maybe some couples wouldn't, but the fact that our faith is a big part of our lives is also a very big similarity and a help to this a lot.
I'd say the way that we're most different is just interacting with people on a day-to-day basis. I'm a lot softer personality to interact with. I'd say of the two of us, I'm probably more the people person. I think he'd agree with me.
Oh, she's definitely more of a people person. Absolutely. She's nicer to people and generally goes out of her way to make sure everybody's involved. And that's not to say I don't, it's just she's better at it.
Things I'm looking forward to in marriage, a continued commitment to back each other up and have that closeness despite being thousands and thousands of miles away for probably years on end.
And then as far as the marriage going forward, what I'm looking most forward to, aside from living with her, which is obvious, just being able to continue to grow together and hopefully raise a family one day. And my hope is that the two of us together can better each other, but then also better the people around us. And so set an example of what it means to love each other the way God loves humanity.
I love Jordan first because of his moral code and how much he enforces his own moral code. He recognizes he's wrong. He will immediately fix it and try and fix any ramifications of his actions. And I've always appreciated that. And he's honest, brutally honest sometimes, which is great. I don't like to play games, so I definitely appreciate that. And the next thing I'd say is probably his enthusiasm for everything that he's involved in. He doesn't do anything haphazardly. Like he goes all the way or none of the way. And it's really fun. You can see it in the way he lives his life, the way he went through school, the way he went through ROTC, the way he does his job today as a fighter pilot. He's just always 100% on, even if it's his weird, quirky, ham radio or anything like that. He's always there.
The biggest reason I love Claire is because she always strives to do the right thing. She will make sure that her actions are going to be morally right, and she will hold others, me, to that standard. And so we make each other better because of that. Because she's always dedicated to doing the right thing, which means everybody around her that knows her is also going to be dedicated to doing the right thing. She sets that example. She is that inspiration. And that's what really made me fall in love with her and really want to be with her for the rest of my life.
My name is Claire, and today I'm marrying my best friend.
My name is Jordan, and today I'm marrying my best friend.